Have you ever looked back and take a moment to check how this passion of playing video games began? Some people started in the arcades, some others because their parents gave them a console. But let's take another step further. Not just how you began playing video games, but which games would you say that left an impression on you to want to know more about those genres? In this video I want to share exactly that, how I started playing video games and how I got into the genres I enjoy the most. So let's begin. If you ask me, what was your first game? That is a question that I unfortunately cannot answer, because I don't remember. I played games since I was 4, and it was because of arcades. I could share how the arcade was arranged, the video games it had, some of the prizes and stuff like that, but unfortunately my very first game is something I don't remember. However, what I consider officially as my first video game, and one that made me love platformers, was Donkey Kong Country 2. I was coming back from the kindergarten and I saw the SNES in the living room, where my brother was playing this game. And what a way to start this journey, to be honest, as Donkey Kong is well known because of their entertaining design and beautiful melodies. So this entry began my journey not just in games, but also with platformers. Of course, this taste was refined with other entries like Mega Man X and Super Metroid shortly after. Since then, I could say that I have enjoyed this genre a lot, reason why from time to time I throw a random platformer into the channel. From here, the games that introduced me into RPGs were some of the most classic ones, starting with Super Mario RPG. Back in the day I had no idea what it said, but if 5-year-old me was able to finish this game, it means it was super friendly. Later I'll share what I mean with that, but literally, if you ask me about its story, it's like me no tener idea de qué trata, something like that. And yeah, I had no idea what people meant by RPG, so it was simple as, yeah, RPGs. It is played in turns, it has levels, stats, some details like that. Reason why I don't really break my head when these kind of topics arise in the channel. Where some people get heated with, nah, this is JRPG, CRPG, DRPG, etc, etc. Inevitably, around those years, I also played Pokemon, as it was really popular, but I will say that this taste was refined until I played Chrono Trigger in the PlayStation. I have played some Dragon Quest, Final Fantasies and some Digimon games, but to be honest they didn't really catch my interest as Chrono Trigger. Probably the cherry on top was Castlevania Symphony of the Night. From that day onwards I started to play RPGs and Metroidvanias more often. Of course, for me, a true Metroidvania is a platformer that combines RPG elements. Otherwise, it's just a platformer with exploration. Those are the prime genres I talk about in this channel, but let's be honest, we all pass through that rebellious phase where we trash talk, teabag everyone, and turn into sour and toxic players whose objective is to ruin others' playing sessions. Yeah, that's the story of first-person shooters. I'd share some of those achievements, but where everything began was with 007 Nightfire. Unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to play GoldenEye or Counter-Strike back in those days, and some other random games I tried in the arcade or PlayStation never hooked me that much, but I'm sure that the romantic side of espionage is something I like so much, so 007 was a good starting point, because at home we used to play in one of those small TVs with a split screen, where you were barely able to know what was going on. Okay, maybe not the best of beginnings, but that is how I started. Now I don't want to talk about Metal Gear Solid because that game is not first person, but it kinda added on the espionage side. From here, I will say that these experiences didn't really improve until online playing became really common. If that happened before the PS3, I have no idea. In my times, I had to use a freaking phone, and no one was allowed to touch it after that. But it was kinda crappy as it took years and years to load whatever. Things were a bit dire, if you know what I mean. Okay, that's good enough. Sorry, getting sidetracked. I have played but a few PC games, but somewhere around those years I disconnected myself from the internet. So that toxic development began around 2009-2010. But I left this genre behind because they became really boring with similar mechanics. I know that may be rich coming from the guy who plays a lot of DRPGs, but that phase of FPS died a couple of years ago. And also because if you wanted to be really competitive, you needed to invest a lot of time. So, meh. And finally, horror games. I placed this genre as the last one, because there was a point where I stopped feeling like these games were interesting, or that they became old quite fast. Probably because I started really young. And sure, at first I was like, hell no, since when that corridor is that obscure? And who decided to place the freaking switch that far? Didn't the electrician know what a stair switch was or what's up? Oh well, probably if I run really fast, nothing will happen. Yeah, the game that left the biggest impression in my childhood was Silent Hill. Yeah, Hill el Silencioso was the game that introduced me into this genre. Then again, later I will share how I was able to finish it and some dumb details about it. And while I knew about Resident Evil, I never really gave them the chance until Zero. However, if I compare the scars left by these two entries, Silent Hill takes the lead by far. Probably the last game of this genre that I enjoyed so much was the project that wasn't able to be known as Silent Hill in the DS. And since then, well, they don't have that much of an impact on me. I'm sure jump scares will do the trick, but that is just a cheap way to scare, and psychological fear is not the same since those days. In a summarized way, that is how I began, and why I like the genres I play. But what about you? I hope you found this video entertaining. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.